Hello.
How you doing,
Can you
mate?
hear
You all right?
I'm good. How are you? Sorry, I
L-
was just setting up.
No, it's always the same. I finally managed, or finally worked out how to use Zoom properly because there's some audio things, problems with the feed I've got. So it's all good now. I love the artwork in the background.
Oh yeah, this is a Buddha we got from Indonesia.
Amazing,
Thank you. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Buddha. I almost named
absolutely.
my son Buddha.
Yeah, yeah. And your son was like a star in your film, The Castle, which when everyone basically we're working out at the moment how to showcase all the films. We want to do it the right way rather than just putting them on a glut and then that's it. That's the end of it. We're going to share films with like yourself. We're going to give you like 2 or 3 films per person, and then we're going to see if we can do a reaction video if you're happy to do that. Just to kind of gauge what people think of other content. And yeah, yours is one. It was a relatively early one in the process now because it seems so long ago since lockdown started. And we absolutely love, especially my partner. We loved your film, The Castle, because you just put this kind of extra spin on things with the voiceover. Obviously, I won't spoil anything, but how did you kind of come up with that concept, that idea?
So we've got literally the castle that we use uh, in the summer. It's sort of our go-to whenever we need a few minutes of silence. The kids love it, and because of the lockdown, it was sort of immediately let's just get that out there. And while they were just playing in it, I don't know how it just sort of came to me, and yeah, it was just it, it, it was the fact that kids having the same issues that adults do, but obviously the kids don't understand what it is. So when I filmed it, they didn't understand why they were doing what they were doing, and once it was done, they were like, okay, great, and they laughed at the end, and then they forgot about it. But it was just I was watching them play, and then the idea just came to me.
Yeah, a lot of comedy, a lot of ideas for short films. Because through this process, we've met people, actors, filmmakers from all over. We're talking to people from Australia next week as well, and the common observations are the kind of key to putting your message across or your story across. And how did so? How much of the process did you discuss with them? Obviously, you're giving them direction to a certain degree, but what was your kind of working process with the two of them?
So this is the third film I've done with my kids. The first one I did with my son when he was 6 months old, so he obviously had no idea what was going on. And then the second one we did last year, where my daughter was the lead, and it all came about from them seeing me do auditions and everything, and just they keep saying I want to do acting, I want to do acting. So I said, all right, let's go do it. Um, I sort of give them the rough idea as to what the premise is or what we're doing right now, and then when we're filming the scenes in the castle, as you know, most of it is internal monologue. So what I was doing during that was because I knew that I would do an ADR later, was I was just giving them commands in the sense like this is how you're feeling right now, this is how you're feeling, and then just capturing different expressions.
Also, it's like a real production, basically. All the audio stripped out, and if we all heard the audio back, you just hear you giving direction when you're filming. Is that right?
Exactly. I mean, it's all stripped out and then layered upon layer upon layer, and then part of it was just part of it was also getting the audio footage for the introduction because
Yeah,
it,
that
it
worked
was
really well. And the kind of the
yeah.
disconnect, not disconnect, but you beautifully went to something really heartfelt, and I think you pulled back on that first shot of your son. It just kind of it twists a little bit, but it's super intelligent, but it's so playful at the same time, and that's what's really appealing about it. It's everyone's voice is in their film, and yeah, we totally dug that. And what was the kind of recording process of the voiceover? Was it multiple takes? How long did that take with the 2 kids?
So when they are apart, I can get through stuff really quickly. When they are together, it takes a while. But
Yeah.
it was a case of just sort of with my son, I typed out everything, which just took a few minutes.
Okay.
Just typed everything and just sat with him, had him read it out, and speak to him about the emotions if he got stuck somewhere, or if it was a case of where his line he was struggling to, because some of the words he doesn't use in everyday language.
Oh,
then we just broke.
yeah, that was great. That was really great. Yeah.
Yeah.
You kind
So
of
it was.
yeah.
No, it was pretty straightforward because we've done it before where I've basically used this, I've done ADR. I've had them do the dialogues and dubbed it later, so they sort of know about it. And it wasn't too difficult, fortunately.
I know. I was looking at is it Mandy.com? I was looking at some of your kind of your voiceover work, and you worked on like Hitman 2. So you must have that kind of thing, even if it's a big part or a small part or whatever. The amount of takes you must have to do for something like that must be huge.
Oh yeah. I mean, and the thing is, that was so when we did that, when I did that, there was several different characters playing, because I don't know if you played the game, but it takes place in different parts of the world. So
yeah,
you've got
absolutely,
to,
yeah.
So we played different characters, but yeah, it's and the thing is, some of the times you really had to get aggressive. And when I did the Hitman 2 voiceover, there were times where I was screaming and abusing, and then I walked away with a headache. So you really just push yourself into the character. But yeah, I mean, there are lots of takes. With the kids, again, there were lots of takes, but whilst you're doing it, you sort of know which take is going to work.
Yeah. And seeing some of your own short films that you're in, I think the comedy comes across really well. It's kind of innocent but really smart at the same time. Like was it always going to be in a monologues?
Yeah, I mean, I thought about it, but yeah, I mean, it was all going to be, and that was the thing. First it was, they were having a conversation when I first thought about it, but then I was thinking, how are they hearing each other's conversation? They're not telepathic, and they don't have ESP. So then I was like, okay, it just needs to be monologues. But yeah, the monologue angle fit. And the thing about this film was, I saw there were a lot of posts about festivals, about the coronavirus, lockdown, the isolation, and I sort of figured that a lot of people would naturally gravitate towards the, I don't want to say cliche, but the struggle with the lockdown and stuff. But I wanted to do something with that, but something, just put it on its head.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
That's how this came apart. And the monologues was something that you wouldn't expect, and something so deep.
It's really no, it really is. We watched it relatively late at night. I think it was late at night, because what I tended to do with later ones is kind of wait till I got 2 or 3, and then Chris and I, who founded our little festival, we watch them together and we react together. When I showed it to Vicky, my partner, she was almost in tears with laughter. She loved it, and Vicky's a great barometer for logo work, for how we're doing certain things in the festival. And it was obviously if you've popped into the festivals, that's fantastic. But when we put it amongst the people I've already spoken to, it's going to get a really positive reaction. And I think that's we've not had too many of the kind of films that you're talking about in terms of the really just about isolation. They've really, the voices we're hearing are really kind of unique in that way, and the perspective we really enjoyed that.
Sorry, go ahead.
Your film was the first one that what we should have done initially is ask for posters. So when we saw your post, I thought, oh, this sounds really serious, and then we put it on, and it was serious, but it kind of pulled that apart completely. I think that's the voice in it. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. When I made the poster, I showed it to a friend of mine who's an actor, and he's someone I sort of bounce a lot of ideas off. And I showed him the poster, and he was really surprised, because the other posters I've done for the Tooth Troll or the Formula had a lot more. You could get a lot more from the poster. You could infer a lot. But with this, I just wanted to keep it as simple. I mean, I didn't even put written and directed. I wanted to keep it as minimalistic as possible.
Yeah, it looked like a who's the best way? It looked like a Paul Greengrass poster, like something serious. Thought, right, what's the meaning behind this? Like 1993, something deep and fascinating. But it is the internal monologues that everyone has, a conflict you have inside yourself. And and that first shot was great. I thought, right, okay, and then it just turns. When I'm gonna say one of the lines, but when your daughter says, "I am the coronavirus," I was crying with laughter. I thought it was. it was just incredibly like the internal monologues, but they're actually working together. So they're not like broken, disconnected conversation. It's like so cohesive, and that's why it works so well. And just a little thing. We posted a thing yesterday on our main feed or main news report about the festival is on Instagram, just because it's kind of the most accessible at the moment. And we found poster designers that are taking elements of every film, and we're gonna put together a festival poster. So I think yours is currently under a little trial. So they're going to take elements of your film and it's going to be put into the poster with all the others. So it's going to be like a Where's Waldo or sorry, I was talking to an American yesterday. It's Where's Wally, but on a huge poster of all the films. So on the same day yours arrived, there's one about a talking dog that's looking after his owners during isolation. So I think that might be one I'll share with you so you can kind of watch that on your own with your kids as well. And if you can, we're going to try and get like feedback from our filmmakers about other films. I think that'll work really well.
Yeah, I'd love to watch that. I absolutely love to watch that. But the other thing about this film was obviously, you know, my kids are 5 and 7 and they're the best of friends and worst of enemies. So
I've got two brothers. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So it was also, and you know, there are times where they just completely at each other. And I thought it would be great to incorporate that into the film, and hopefully I did that for the audience.
Yeah, and your small role in it, worked really well in terms of kind of pulling that idea apart, and yeah, it kind of making it family, like kind of family again, and kind of, you know, the kind of cuteness to it, and yeah, it worked really, really well. And how have you all found, just to go on to something slightly different, how have you all found your isolation at the moment? Has it been difficult?
Well, if I'm being completely honest, the homeschooling part of it is really, I don't want to say it's difficult, but it's just a lot more than I anticipated with the amount of work that I'm getting from the school. And it's, you know, it's constant. It's not only is it constant in the sense of the attention you have to give, but you're also running at a very high intensity almost throughout the day until the school day ends, because I'm bouncing between 2 kids, and then if I'm not, and this is something I actually did a monologue about, which was for a comedy as well, for another short, but it was, you know, I'm sitting there, if I'm not homeschooling, I'm cooking, if I'm not cooking, I'm cleaning, if I'm not cleaning, I'm homeschooling, and then, you know, I'm bled for attention. I don't have time. I mean, I don't even have time to go to the toilet. So when I put them to bed, you know, that's when I go sit on the toilet and pray something comes out. And I don't know if constipation.
That's great. That's really great.
Is a symptom of coronavirus, but but you know, that's what it's like. But that said, family time is great. It's great being around the kids. And
so you're like their energy level and your energy level must be sapped by the end of the day.
They seem to keep going. So once we're done with homeschool and I sort of just want to take a breather, then they're like, okay, let's not play with homeschool dad. Let's play with fun dad. Let's play with us.
Oh, I see. Like, yeah.
Break. But no, their energy levels are quite high. And unfortunately, sometimes you just feel like you need to put them in front of the TV and just take a break. But, you know, it is what it is.
Is that in a monologue online anywhere yet?
That is it is. That monologue is online, but not publicly, because the short has I think it's in post production right now, so it's not yet. But if you'd like to see,
yeah.
If you'd like to see the monologue on its own, I'm happy to share it with you, as long as you don't share it.
No, absolutely. Yeah, I'd love to see that, and I'd show that just to Vicky, and that's it. And obviously, people that are watching this, that are checking this out, will see that eventually. But that is a fantastic idea. And with a film that, with your film, it kind of inspired me to, I've got an idea for a Christmas film about a Christmas tree. And I kind of don't want to go into too much, but the kind of, how you approached it was really kind of informative about an idea I wanted to have. So I think, yeah, we were very, very happy. And I think it was one of the first ones we received. The first one was from Bordeaux, and it was a classically French film. And I said this to the chap, and it kind of, we've had such a wide scope. It's been really interesting, and giving people a voice has been really fun to do as well. You know, in terms of you can just put it up on YouTube or Instagram or whatever, but I think having an avenue for people's creativity has been great. So, so the student that's making the poster, which shall feature things from every film, is based in Chester, and then we've got an Italian designer. If that sounds really fancy, but it's a student from Milan. He's putting the artwork together for the podcast, so we're changing the artwork for that. And then we've got another chap doing individual posters for every film. So that's going to be a time thing. So we're going to send those out if you're happy to receive it. We're going to send everyone that's submitted a film a full poster of the festival and a one-off design poster by 2 designers for each and every film. So you'll receive your film for a poster for the castle and for the festival. So that's like a little thank you, because we wanted to make sure that we really appreciate everyone sending in their films.
No, thank you. I'm looking forward to that. When I make the films with my kids, I like to make them a lot more frequently, but it's just, you know, you've got to be in the right frame of mind and catch them in the right frame of mind where they're willing to do it.
Yeah.
But whenever I've made it, I've sort of just done it for fun, but it usually comes out better than I expected. And that's when I'm like, okay, you know what, what have I got to lose? I put on festivals, and, you know, and in this case, hopefully put some, you know, a smile on a few people's faces.
Well, at least 2 people, me and my partner definitely, and Chris loves it as well. And he was laughing because the beauty of this is that there's no marketing, there's no trailer, there's no massive tentpole marketing push for it. It's completely new. So you receive the file and it's like, okay, what are we going to get? Sometimes we have a little description or a poster. We've had stop animations from 10-year-olds. The variety has been fantastic, and it's something we've been quite proud of in terms of kind of being able to kind of curate a really dynamic amount of films. And yours is definitely up there with one of my favorites. And when you get to see Gus and Oz, the talking dog, the way they've done that with a voiceover for the dog's point of view, I think your kids will absolutely love that as well. And yeah, we really appreciate you coming on the podcast as well and just chatting about your film a little bit. No,
I'm so happy to do so. Like I said, when I first made it, I made it for fun. It was something to look back on and mark. You know, during the lockdown, we did this, and they watched it a little bit, and then they were, you know, it was one and done. They were over it, but I couldn't stop watching it, and I was really, really proud of it. So, and then to a point where my daughter was like, "Why'd you keep watching it?" And my son's like, "Because he likes it. Just leave him alone." You know, I was really, really proud of it, and
it's like an addiction, isn't it? I guess because of the work you do, is that when you've been part of something that you're really proud of, you just want to keep doing it, keep producing. But it's incredibly difficult making anything. And when you make something like that, and you're really, I get it when I do a camera test, or like I've bought some anamorphic gear recently. And when I do a camera test, I know I want to shoot something. I really want to do something, you know. So I can see when you watch something like this, it is proud, and then it kind of pushes you, doesn't it, to want to make more with them as well.
Yes. I mean, this is the double-edged sword. I do want to make a lot more with them, and I know I could, you know, bribe them into making more stuff. But the thing is, the idea has to be good. The idea has to be worth it. And the other side is not like there's any huge budget for this kind of stuff. You've got to use whatever you have around you and be resourceful. But it just all boils down to an idea that's good.
Story is king. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
The idea is essential.
I'll send you the tooth troll because
please do. Yeah,
completely different concept, which is basically what if you, you know, when you were a child, what if your teeth were taken by someone else and it was never the tooth fairy, you know? And then the story just sort of unfolds from that. It all came because one day my son lost both his front teeth, and there was a joke about it, and it just sort of grew from there. But that's the thing, even with this, the story, like you said, you don't know where it's going to go. And that's what I like, just, you know, kind of like putting an M. Night Shyamalan spin on it, where you don't know where it's going to go.
Absolutely, yeah. That is it's nice to not know everything. I think that if something's kind of spelled out right in front of you, it's kind of like, oh right, okay, this is kind of boring, and it's not engaging in any way. But I like the idea. If you told a child that someone took your teeth and then you told them it wasn't the tooth fairy, it must be such a terrifying thing for a child to hear.
Yeah,
You know,
and especially when you see what the alternative is. And I mean, like I said, I when I sent you this film, it was fun to make. You know, if I wish I could have made it better, but this was sort of, I was learning as I was going along and stuff. Filming is not my forte. Like I said, I'm more of an actor, and I have a business background. But when I made it, and then when it came out at the end, again, it was better than I expected. But I realized in this, because I also have a web series called The Modern Dad Show, and I realized between that and this, yeah. So I'm a hands-on dad, and a fellow dad and we talk about parenthood from a dad's perspective. And again, I knew very little about editing, but as I edited that show and The Tooth Troll, I realized what a beast editing is when it comes to movie. It's literally another character.
Yeah.
The editing, the audio is just, it's absolutely, it's if you've got two people, the third character is the editing. And I realized that, and I appreciate it so much more now. But the amount of time that goes into that as well.
So do you think, it's because a film's really like, I think Nolan said this, a film's made in the edit, and you can see, because I've edited a lot of stuff over the years, and you can have what you think is right. Oh yeah, I've got everything in the can, so to speak. I've got everything there, and then almost a completely different story can come out of it. And I introduced a very good photographer friend of mine, John, to filmmaking recently, and he's made some short. He's trying to make some shorts, and he's got the eye. He's got a photographic eye, but I said, lean on that, go down that route, play to your strengths initially, and then the storytelling and the scene construction will kind of work itself out eventually. And the practice is the key. And as soon as I saw his first thing, I was like, oh my God, this is great. And I said to him, just a few tweaks here and there, you kind of learn the process of storytelling. And when you do edit or do a lot of the behind the scenes stuff yourself, it really does inform kind of how you approach your next project in a completely different way. So, right, what do I need for the edit? What shots do I need? Do I need the insert shot? And yeah, it's kind of evident, I think, that, your filmmaking skills. Do you think that from Modern Dad, do you think you kind of, can you see progress in your own kind of filmmaking, your technique?
Well, yeah. I mean, the amount of things I've learned through the editing process has really enhanced my filmmaking abilities. I don't know if anyone's going to pay me to make a film anytime soon, but personally, yeah, I think there's been a lot of growth. And like you said, the times where it goes back and forth. So when I'm filming something, whilst I'm filming, in the top of my head, something will pop up and I'm like, okay, I can edit this way, this transition or whatever. So whilst I'm filming, I'm still editing my mind. It's the same thing with, with the Modern Dad Show. You haven't seen it yet, but basically it's a topical chat show, but it's got a lot of pop culture comedy in it with nods to the 80s and the 90s, which is
that's my jam. That's my jam. The 80s.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So there's one bit where I throw in, and I don't know if everyone's going to enjoy it, but then I realize if I'm making this, I'm going to make what I want to make.
Absolutely, yeah.
And then there's one bit where I turn to my colleague. I can't remember exactly what happened, but I turn around and I say to him, "Well, here's a question," and then I throw in Dennis Hopper from Speed saying, "Pop quiz, hot shot," that kind of stuff, and they're nods to Coming to America and stuff. So there's a lot of.
What's the nod to Coming to America?
Oh, I wouldn't dare spoil that for you.
Oh.
It's I'll send you that specific episode with that, because that's probably the funniest bit for me in the whole series. And the reason that is, and you'll see this, it's not only because of the comment that's made that precedes the cutaway that leads to Coming to America, but it's also about how it is edited and how many things are layered into that 3-second shot that made that was laugh out loud for some people, some viewers. So, and like I said, again, it goes back to the whole editing. So when I'm filming, I realize about editing. And then one thing I have learned, oh, sorry, my alarm just went off.
That's okay.
So what I'm doing is when I'm filming, I'm thinking about the editing. And then I've also learned that when I take it to the editing table, the editing board, it's going to turn out so much better because so many ideas are just going to pop up there and there. For instance, when I was doing the audio for the castle and the opening sequence with the news footage and making it really serious, I was listening and I was like, this doesn't sound right. I need this. And then I realized how, I need to layer it a lot more and everything. And it just sort of happened there, how to make it better, how to tweak it, how to just sharpen it a little bit more.
Yeah. Based on my very small experience, because my partner's an exceptional cook, is that it's like cooking and that tasting process of, right, what do I need to add to this? And we've in a very small way, we've kind of felt that with creating the festival. Initially, like, we had the idea, and then it's kind of like, right, how do we make this I don't want to say product, but a better experience for everyone? And doing this podcast has proven popular with people that are in the festival already. Like, we've had a lot of actors from Canada sending us films now because they saw a Canadian actress on one of the episodes. So it's kind of, your ideas grow and techniques grow. Like, I've been doing these. Basically, I work as a technician for University of Chester in regular life. Not at the moment, but we're doing kind of phone support, that kind of thing. And every lunchtime, I'm basically in the house. I should go out, but I thought, right, I'm going to do something during lunch, something creative. And I've been doing these lunchtime reviews, and it's films, that kind of thing. And if you look at the first one and then you look at this one, it is kind of matured massively. It's just me in a 9:16 aspect ratio. And initially I put trailers in there, made it a little bit more complicated. I could have made it a lot more difficult. But now when I look at it, it's a huge step up. And filmmaking is exactly the same when you kind of mature your editing, because I've got an editing background more than anything else in post-production. And when you see someone's technique or something simple they do, I'm like, oh, why did they leave that in? And then you realize how important 2 or 3 frames can be. And like, the process of that is, you get those real clear moments of, oh my God, really? Well, that's what that does. Okay, that's great. I'll try that on my next project, and it works. And then it becomes part of your methodology then, doesn't it? So yeah, I'd like to see more of your films, definitely.
Well, you're
going to be drawing up contracts with your kids soon as well,
Well, they are signed with my agent, and my son, who's older, has had a few auditions, but nothing sort of stuck. And he's sort of very blasé about it. He'll go into the audition, do whatever it is, and then he'll, in 1 year out the other. And for me, I'm just and he keeps asking for these different toys, and I keep saying, look, if you land one of these, the amount of money you're going to make, you could go in and buy any toy you want. I just want him to experience that ability to just be like, okay, I want the droid Lego, and I'm like, go ahead, you've got the money. Okay, well, I want the Micromax. I'm like, okay, you can go get that as well.
Yeah.
And I think that will just blow his mind, and that's something I want to see. So I mean, they signed up with my agent, and school comes first, but let's see if something pans out. And if you see the Tooth Thrower, my daughter's the lead, you'll see, you'll I think she's has more of a natural flair for the arts. So
yeah, I like that close up of her when she has that kind of super important line towards the end. It's like really tight close up. I think she kind of rocks that. I think it works really well. Just out of curiosity, because the kind of voiceover work you've done before, how does a gig like that kind of happen? Does it happen through your agent? Is it through other work and they've heard your voice? How does that kind of come about?
So the voiceover work has come through my agent. For Hitman 2 came through my agent. I did some stuff for I think it was the NHS. But yeah, I mean it's not my primary. I mean, I'd love to do it more if it was possible, but it just comes through my agent, and it's sort of secondary to the acting. The NHS one, I did a shoot for them, for a corporate, I think it was, and on the back of that, they asked me to do some voiceover as a news reporter, which I did. So, but yeah, it's not the primary focus. In fact, I sort of got into this industry through voiceover work. I thought voiceover work would be easy, so I went to a couple of classes, realized it's not easy, it's incredibly hard, and also found out I hate my voice. So So I said, this is not for me. And through that, I sort of just stumbled into acting. And that was about 6-7 years ago. And here we are. Never thought I'd make my own movie to the, to the degree where I could set up the festivals. But I think I always had that creative side to me. I've written 2 books that have been published. I've written short stories. And I used to make silly home movies by myself, holding a camera and that kind of stuff. So I always had the sort of draw to it, but I don't think I had the confidence. But, things change and here we are.
Yeah, because it must be tempting to, and like the Modern Dad show, it's incredibly difficult because I don't do anything in front of the screen. It's all kind of behind the scenes kind of thing, and when you do that and you have actors in front of you, it's fantastic. But from your point of view, when you're trying to create something for yourself, it's like you need at least 1 or 2 other people minimum to shoot almost anything, So that's what we liked about this festival is majority of people, we just say shoot on obviously whatever you have at your home. It's a webcam on a laptop for a diary entry about how you're getting on. Or well, the chap I was speaking to, Ian Rayburn, he created a film called Days, and the production value is through the roof. And I said to Ian, where do you keep all your gear? And then he was sat in his studio where he does his filmmaking, everything. So that's the beauty of what we're saying, is that having the boundaries of in your house or in your garden and whatever gear you have. So it's the variety and the scope of what we had is great. And it frees you up when you shoot on a phone, because you've seen it on set, and that it's the size of the setups can be ridiculous. So it's been really nice to see people that don't make films kind of produce stuff, through and get involved that way. So yeah, we really do appreciate your contribution. It has been fantastic, and the fact that you made my partner and I laugh really quite a lot, and we're very happy just for that. So
well, that's a win for me. I mean, if I could spread some joy through my kids, exploiting my children, if I could spread some joy, then that's good karma for us. But yeah, shooting on the phone is just convenient. I would love to shoot on the DSLR. But the issue is the focus, and just resetting the focus and moving shots and everything. But the phone is really easy, and what I do is with the Castle, it was all sort of ADR, but with the Tooth Stroll, a lot of it, half of it was I connected a lapel mic into the phone itself, so the kids, the shots where they didn't have to be too far or were in the house.
Okay,
I sort of wired them up and did that, and you have that convenience, again. With the phone. So yeah, the phone's really easy to shoot on.
Well, thank you very much, Chandru. I really appreciate your time, and we'll put a link to Modern Dad in the description on YouTube when it goes up. And I really like the sound of that. So yeah, thank you very much for being on the show. And the episode will pop up in a couple of weeks or so, because we're trying to stagger them, and don't want to kind of put them out all in once. So kind of enjoy the process, and and we'll let you know when the film's going up and we're showcasing it online. We're trying to get a cinema locally or possibly in the Midlands somewhere to showcase all the films. So we're trying our best with that. But if not, we'll do some sort of mass Zoom watch along of all the content, something like that. So something very modern and apt for the time,
Yeah, but no, thank you so much. Like I said again, I'm thrilled that you guys like the film, and thank you for inviting me on this podcast. It's I love talking about films. I love talking about my kids. Put those two together, I'm a very happy camper. So
I've got one very quick. No, I totally appreciate that. I've got one very quick question. What are you watching at the moment?
So I just finished Money Heist.
Is that Italian? Is that Italian?
Spanish. I find myself watching a lot more TV shows. The funny thing is, so the only time I get to myself is after I put the kids to bed, as I mentioned.
Yeah.
So then at that point, I'm also in bed. So I'm kind of like, all right, I can't be bothered to get up and go watch a movie on the TV. I'm going to watch something on my tablet, on my phone. Or I'll watch, a TV show for 40 minutes because it's not a movie. But then I go and I watch 2 or 3. I could have watched the movie at the same time, and I do this almost every night. But I just finished watching Money Heist, which was good. It was really interesting. and now I'm just thinking about what to watch next. I've heard Upload on Amazon's really good, but I haven't watched.
Okay.
It's a comedy, but I watch more dramas and stuff. Like I said, there's a lot of good shows out there, and now it's just you're struggling to tread water because you're just completely inundated with the tsunami of content and great content.
Yeah, I found that years ago when I've got at my folks' house, I've got an extensive DVD and Blu-ray collection, and it's the same thing. Even if you've got a huge amount of books, okay, what am I going to read? What am I going to watch? When you look at Amazon or Disney Plus or Netflix, it's very difficult for me to settle on something. And more recently, it's been movies, and I kind of TV shows feel like a real commitment now. So my partner and I have been watching Ally McBeal, and the funniest thing, I really enjoy it because I think it's in large parts it's funny, but I really despise the lead character. It's terrible, really. It's
do you mean Calista Flockhart?
Yeah, I'm really not a big, because it's like she doesn't progress, character doesn't progress too much, but it's kind of all the chaos around her that's the beautiful thing,
I'll tell you what show irritated the hell out of me. It was Sons of Anarchy, and people will probably disconnect the podcast right now. But my brother-in-law watched it, and he watched maybe the first season or two, and he said, "Oh, you got to watch it." And by then, I think about 6 seasons. I think maybe all of it was out. So I said, "Oh, it's a big commitment, but I can't recommend it. I'll watch it." And I watched it, and I binged it. And what really irritated me was I forget the character's name, but Charlie Hunman's character.
Yes, I know. Yeah.
So the whole series, he just goes around saying, "Look, I promise you, I won't let that happen. I promise." And the whole season, he's just promising, and he keeps falling short. And I'm like, that's just bad, man. And maybe it stuck to me because I binged it, and I was like, he promised to take care of it, but he never achieves it. And it really just irritated me so much so that now, it's unfair to say this, but I watch. If he's in a film, I'm like, oh, he's going to promise he's not going to deliver. That's what he's going to do.
Oh, so
that's
true.
That's what irritated me.
I've got a bit of a love-hate relationship with Charlie Hunnam. I thought he was very good in The Gentleman, the newest Guy Ritchie film. He was pretty decent in that. And yeah, I'm really kind of dying to finish watching Millennium, the kind of X-Files spin-off show. And
oh no, I haven't seen that. No, I was a big X-Files fan.
Yeah, I bought it years ago, but it's about someone that kind of, when he goes up to a murder scene with the police, he kind of see through kind of some sort of memory that's left there, what's happened, and it's really dark, but it's so well written. It's kind of missed in terms of kind of cult fandom, but it's a very good series. So I purchased that, and I'm really dying to watch it. So,
well, a great show. What was it? The one with Matthew McConaughey and Woody Harrelson, True Detective.
Oh,
the first season.
That first season.
So the first season was outstanding, and that was probably one of the fewest, if not only show where I've seen where every episode was directed by the same director. So the vision stayed consistent. Obviously, the performances are outstanding, but the vision was fantastic.
Yeah, it doesn't happen very often. I think that's the guy, the new director of the James Bond film. I think it's the same director, Kari Fukunaga or something.
Yeah,
I think that's the same guy. Yeah, that first season is a work of art. It's absolutely a work of art.
And nothing's measured up. I watched season 2. It didn't measure up. And then I've just finished watching Before Money. I finished watching Ozark, and I saw Justin Bateman.
He's very good.
Directed. I mean, it's incredible that he's written and directed. And every time I see him, I see Teen Wolf 2. But it's still, you see, you generally see the talent of these guys, and it's really just breathtaking.
I know it's look at what's the chap from The American Office and the film he's made with his wife.
Steve Carell.
No, The Quiet Place.
Jim Halpert.
Yeah.
With Emily Blunt. I forget his name, and he's the new Jack Ryan. But every time I see him, I see Jim Halpert. But yeah, I know.
What a way to kind of flip your career in terms of not going from negative to positive, but to go from that kind of super iconic show, especially American one. I think it's very good, and obviously the original is great as well. But to go from, is it Jim Halpert?
Jim Halpert, yeah.
Yeah, and to go that to be starring in that movie, and obviously Emily Blunt's a fantastic actress. That I was just thinking, it's
But
just
yeah,
great. It's great to see.
It's breaking the mold, right? But I think it's a lot easier now and a lot more common because before it was sort of when I saw Will Smith in 6 Degrees of Separation. I think that was the movie with Donald Sutherland.
Yeah, that's right.
And I was waiting for him to be on Fresh Prince, and it didn't happen. And then you watched Philadelphia with Tom Hanks, which I think was his first foray away from comedy.
Yeah, because he did a lot of kind of
he did Big Splash,
Turner and Hooch, Bachelor Party, all sorts. Yeah.
So you see that, and you see him, and Forrest Gump was still sort of comedic to an extent, but you see that, and then not everyone was able to transition it successfully. Like Jim Carrey got a lot of critical acclaim for what was it called? Beautiful. I forget what it was.
Eternal Sunshine,
yeah.
Spotless Mind. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but it didn't stick. I don't think. But now I think people have platforms to show their talent. You've got Donald Glover, who was Lando in Star Wars, but he's got a successful rap career as well. And then he was in this great comedy called Community, where the first 4 seasons are really good. So
I think it's Community. It's either Community or Arrested Development. It might be Arrested Development. And the directors of that did the biggest movies ever, did the Avengers movies and Captain America 2. And the Russo brothers, they did one of the comedies was either Arrested Development or Community. I'm like, to go from that to that, my God, that's fantastic, So yeah, there's a lot out there. When you watch something like Sons of Anarchy and you are disappointed, like I was with Lost at the end, it's like, you just stole that time from me. You know what I mean? That's how it feels, doesn't it? So,
I mean, you're going to invest that much, and then it just sort of fades, and and this is the thing. Sometimes I hear the good shows, but when I find out the season's ended, I'm like, do I really want to invest if they've ended the season prematurely?
Yeah, I've been. I saw there was a leaked memo online from Netflix saying about their strategy for shows that aren't top tier like Stranger Things are to do 2 to 3 seasons max, and I was like, across the board, if you look at the trend from shows that are popular but not like Stranger Things, that is the trend now, which is crushing really, because there's a show called The OA, and it's about a woman that disappears and comes back after a period of time. It's really interesting. It's got Isaac, what's his name? Jason Isaac. Okay. He's evil, so evil, and it's brilliant. And I was crushed because they released the 2nd season, which was great. The 3rd season, in terms of potentially at the very end, what they were saying, what they were going to do, was like breathtaking. And for fans of the show, they would have absolutely loved it. And then they just pulled the plug, and there's no resolution to it. And I'm like, you didn't finish it. But then there's networks like same network, Netflix. They did a show called Sense8, which I loved. I saw that. Is it Lana Wachowski? I've not seen the 2nd season because they did the Christmas special, which was great, and then the 2nd season, which I'm kind of saving. I almost don't want to watch it, but I do, because once it's over, it's over. And they finished that. They made that 2nd season because they wanted to finish it for the fans and for the show. And that's great. Like Deadwood, they released the Deadwood movie with all the original actors. So it's a real kick in the teeth when a show finishes prematurely, isn't it?
Yeah, I think they should at least give, maybe depending how much, but give 3, 6, 8, 9, 10, whatever episodes you want, but let them have a conclusion. But there are 2 good shows that I don't know if they got the accolades that they should have, which were only 4 seasons each. They both had an ending, but they both were really good. One was Hell on Wheels, and the other one was Banshee.
Who made Hell on Wheels? That's it wasn't Sons of Anarchy. It was someone else. It was some huge producer made that. Yeah, that looks great. That is
Hell on Wheels really good. Banshee's really good.
So Banshee's great about that. Is it corrupt cop? Is that right?
Yeah, that ends up in a town called Banshee, and the same people have made a new show called Warrior, which is based on the writings of Bruce Lee, which was also very entertaining.
Wow, that sounds. I'll make a note of that. I'll have to.
Season 1's out, and it is entertaining. And this is the thing, even as far as the opening sequence goes, Stranger Things has probably the best opening sequence now for people who are around in the 80s. But
oh yeah, agreed.
You appreciate that with Hell
Yeah.
on Wheels and with Warrior, the opening sequence, and it just, as soon as this episode starts, you're like, all right, I'm ready to get into this. So, and again, it has such an impact on you, how you enjoy the product.
Absolutely. One last recommendation before I go is I'd recommend Black Sails. Unless you've already seen that.
All 4 seasons, great
You've
show.
seen it. It's great.
I've seen
I was so happy how they ended it, because I thought, right, how's this going to end? And Vicky and I watched this when she lived in Manchester, and I think it was the second season. At the end of, I think it was the end of the second season, when they were going to steal the galleon, the big galleon they steal, the huge ship.
Yeah.
We thought a season ended just before they attempted to steal it. And then like a month later, we realized there was another episode to go of that season. And we were so happy. It was like someone had given us a Christmas present early, you know? So, it's if anyone's watching and they haven't seen that yet, watch Black Sails. It's great fun.
I would also recommend Spartacus. That's a good show.
It is. It's I do like drama, and then I like something completely wild as well. And Spartacus is great fun. Well,
The Boys is good. I mean, he's the lead from Banshees in The Boys, and that's also very good. And Carl Urban's in it as well. And it's a superhero premise, but it's completely,
it's chaos, isn't it?
And Elizabeth Shue's in it, so it's really good.
Yeah, she's great, and another 80s icon. And Carl Urban's incredibly funny as well.
Well, they made. Speaking of Elizabeth Shue, they made the Karate Kid TV series with Ralph Macchio, and they brought the original characters back.
For YouTube, yeah.
Yeah, the second season wasn't as good, but the first season was just, I bought the T-shirts and everything, Cobra Kai. I was like, this is fantastic.
Yeah, I think YouTube made a really smart decision bringing that back in the form they did. And was Elizabeth Shue in the show?
No, but she might come back, was the sort of thing, because they brought the
other sensei back, didn't they?
They brought the other sensei back for season 2, but it's, like I said, season 2 sort of pales in comparison. But apparently there is a season 3 in the works, and instead it won't be behind the paywall. It will be out publicly, and I guess YouTube will make fun.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, thank you very much, Chandru. It's been an absolute pleasure to meet you and to watch your film. And we're looking forward to sharing with everyone watching your film, The Castle. And as I say before, it's a fantastic film, and congratulations on that.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
And have a good day, mate. And I'll let you know. We'll do a little bit of marketing like a week before your podcast goes up, and we'll let you know.
Yeah, and you let me know, and I'll be happy to share it on social media and everything.
Absolutely. If you want to send over any particular photo or headshot or anything like that, it can be just with yourself, or it can be a frame of the film, whatever you prefer. But if you've got any headshots that you want to use for that post, we're more than happy to use it. Then we'll tag you in that and everything as well.
This is for the poster that you're going to...
So what we do for every episode is we post an initial... normally we use a screen grab from the chat, but we're using kind of better quality photos of people now. So we're replacing those with kind of higher res pictures as an advertising thing a week before, saying, check out on Saturday, episode coming out. And that's what we're doing now, yeah.
Okay, fine. I'll send something across with all the links.
Fantastic. Well, you enjoy your evening, and hopefully you'll have a rest, and please send me that link to that monologue as well. I'm looking forward to seeing it.
I will do.
Have a good day, mate.
You too. Cheers.
Bye. See you now. Bye-bye.